Hello, everyone. So this is not my slides. This is the next person. So please, hand of God, change it to, that's the one. So I want to talk to you about something that's so important. How do we actually test that these bright ideas here really works in the marketplace? I think testing desirability is a really big idea, and I want to share how we're doing it with you. So 90%, in my opinion, is crap. You know why? Because there's a big investment, and then you have to follow through. There's such a big investment in products. By the end of the product development process, even if it's kind of bad, you have to launch it. So, you know, the chief marketing officer get a huge budget, but we want to change that model. So my talk is actually about testing desirability, not even before going into production, but using that test to actually check if you actually should produce a product at all. How do we do this? We're a small Swedish team called PeoplePeople, based in Stockholm. We're a group of passionate designers, and we design a lot of wearables. We've been doing the industrial design for the narrative clip, this life-logging device that takes a picture every 30 seconds. This product was launched yesterday. It's a smart button that accesses your phone, and you can put it on Barry White next to your bed or order a cab next to your office door. We designed this face recognition doorbell that lets you know if your kids are having a party, who they're letting into your house. So we have these different business areas. And today I wanted to share a case from our own product lab, where we really do quick sprints to come up with new product ideas. So we use maximum 4 weeks to actually create and launch a new product. That sounds super quick. How do we do it? Well, we have to start with a really good insight in the market. And we have to use that insight in a way that we know that we can actually test our hypothesis in 4 weeks. So I want to share an example of how we have done that and how we have learned about desirability. So we had this insight that a lot of couples moving together in the city, they actually have to throw out the stereo. It doesn't really add any value to the living room, and there's a lot of cables everywhere. And also, if you have a party and you want to connect one of your smart devices, you often have to go back and look at a lot of connectors of technology. So we started doing these contextual ideations that we do, where we quickly sit down and understand the patterns of this insight. And we blogged an idea. This only took us less than 4 weeks, actually. And started telling this story. We launched a story about a speaker that would blend into your environment. And our visualization was super easy. And for a couple of days, nothing happened. But all of a sudden, people started talking about this story on the internet. And we had 10,000 visitors per day on our webpage. And the interesting thing is not how many likes you get, but it's actually listening to what people are writing. So there's always the funny guy, transparent speaker. I'm pretty sure I can see it. Or another common question, can you put fish in it? It kind of looks like a fishbowl. But beneath those kind of fun comments is like real insights into how people are reacting emotionally. So once we have this early proof that there seems to be a desirable value proposition here, we move onwards. And we can see that, OK, the technology magazines want to write about it. Monocle, even more interesting, want to write about it because they also write more about design objects, which was our thinking about this. But mostly important, Elle Decoration, that doesn't write at all about technology, wants to write about it because it adds value to your living room. So, OK, now we have a value proposition that people want to write about. What do we do now? Well, we have to find out, can we make it in a more sustainable way? Usually that's actually already in there in this case. You know, is it repairable? Is there ways that we can make it better than before? But also, how much will this actually cost to make? So we start building a prototype. We were invited to CES to show it at the trade fair, get more feedback. How will we produce this? And this is when you have to be an entrepreneur, not just a designer. You have to go from your problem. You have the problem solution, right? You presented it. There's some sort of prototype out on the market. You're getting this feedback. Now you have to run up and actually kind of figure out a business model around it. And what's usually happening is that you discover you have to have all these backstage costs to actually make the product and bring it to the market. So we do that. We found out, well, it's probably going to need to retail at $5.99. So how do we test that? Easy, crowdfunding. You put it there and you say, OK, will people buy this for $5.99? It turned out, well, at least a few early adopters, around 500, wants to buy it for that money. And of course, at this point, you have to know that the money you get from the crowdfunding will be enough to prove the next stage. So in our case, we got $170,000, which was enough to prove us to the next stage. So now we have a kind of a proven value proposition. We're creating a speaker that blends in and adds value to your living room. Although once we got the money and started actually writing contracts with manufacturers, it turns out it's a little bit more expensive to make than they first told us. So actually the retail price has to be $849, which puts us even in a little bit more higher niche. But so we test that even before we push the production button. So we make a tick-tail shop. It's for free. It's a Swedish startup as well. And we put the value proposition there. And will there be any pre-orders? Yes, there were a few pre-orders, not explosive, but enough for us to see, OK, there's at least someone out there that wants to buy it at this price point. So then what we've done is gone from this huge uncertainty, building a prototype, lowering the uncertainty a little bit, launching it on a blog, and also reading, of course, everywhere else where it's not just in our blog, but in other blogs, how people talk about it. Then we went into crowdfunding, and finally we had online sales. And this is before pushing the production button. And I think this is really revolutionary. So, OK, it was expensive, but we already know our value proposition really well. So both Selfridges, Le Bon Marché, and Brown Thomas has accepted to sell it now for Christmas. So we're starting in very small channels because it's a niche product, remember. We're not going to launch it in 3,000 stores, but we're doing a profit. So, of course, we want to continue to listen after we've launched the product as well. So what we've done now is we're using the hashtag transparent speaker. And actually, 20% of our customers is using this hashtag to share their experience of the product in the social media. So here's a flow from the community page on the web store. And the average like per Instagram upload is 20. So there's a huge viral spread now with people actually saying, well, the value proposition they proposed, they're delivering on it, and it's great. I'm really happy. So in this way, we've really lowered, again, the risk of disappointing any customers and not producing more crap into the world. So now that we're actually a hardware company and making hardware products, we have to deliver those hardware products at a great quality. So you have to be passionate, of course, about actually making the product to stand up to that quality test. Here's me inspecting a speaker. Turned out the first 100 ones, they had the wrong kind of gloves, so there was fingerprints on the inside of the glass. So not so fun. We had to stop everything and redo that production line a little bit. But it's shipping. So what's the learning here? Well, one learning is that we're a really small team, and we can have this massive impact. We're actually seeing a few of the other industry players looking into, OK, how could you actually make speakers that you can repair? Because we thought that was a super easy idea. Why a speaker lasts more than 10 years? It should be repairable. So we tested ourselves this summer. We gave us, again, 4 weeks. Can we make anything more complex? In Stockholm, where we live, it's actually really expensive and hard to get a boat that works, that's both durable, more sustainable, and goes on electric drive. So why not design that? We thought that's a user case. So we designed this electric jet boat in 4 weeks. And the fun thing with this project is, OK, it's going to be more than $10,000, so we're not going to be able to crowdfund it on Kickstarter, at least. Maybe we can do crowdfunding from someone. But instead, of course, partners are reaching out to us because we blogged this idea to test it. So what happened is that we've made a bike before, at least as a sprint as well, and now we made this electric boat. And we started talking to SAAB, a Japanese/Swedish car maker, and we've been part of making the next electrical car for them. And they also want to test desirability. And when you have something as complex as the new electric car, and you want to understand, are people going to want to use the blinkers or not? You really need this way of prototyping to test desirability while developing. So it does lead to other things as well. So I just want to quote Eric Schmidt, the Google CEO, who just came out with a book. It's called How Google Works. And he's actually saying the #1 key thing to succeed in this internet century when things are moving so fast is this thing he's calling smart creatives. So I like that. He's actually saying that this combination of having technology knowledge, having the business expertise that I just showed you, kind of zoom out and understand a little bit about the business model, plus the creativity, enables people to get new technology in their hands and make something amazingly fast. And I think this kind of test desirability way is one proof of that. So the old way was to design something. It takes at least 6 months to design a new product. Then you produce it. Setting up production is expensive and big, and you have to have these huge volumes. And then you launch it. And then, finally, you can test if it's attractive in the marketplace. And you know how much resources that is and how big bet that is. You can understand why the marketing officer gets such a big budget, right? So 2 years. But the new way is actually just getting your idea out there as high fidelity as possible in a way where it's actually the idea you want to test. And getting this feedback. And you can do that in 4 weeks, as we've proven. So 2 years versus 4 weeks. I think that's a pretty big idea. And this is actually not about the speed. It's just about the intelligence that you can create from really being open and talking to people and listening to what they're saying. So 2 cases, I guess, is this narrative clip. They're also a company that has the slogan, tell, don't sell. So they've been sponsoring a documentary about life logging just to really understand and talk about the technology they're developing. So before they met us, we helped them visualize and tell the story about their product. They got seed funding, then they got $500,000 on Kickstarter. Then they had $1 million in pre-orders. Then they got some more funding. And because they're already telling the story, people are really curious and testing it. So now that they're launching, they're getting great reviews because people know what they're buying into, and they got more funding. So it's what can happen after you do such a process. And yesterday, the Flic Smart Button, launched by a company called Shortcut Labs, also a Swedish startup, was launched on Indiegogo. And already yesterday, this is an old image. I don't know exactly what it is now. You have to go into Indiegogo and check out. But they're almost 100% funded to their goal. And we're really excited to see what happens with their technology and how they're going to listen to, because this technology is really up to the user to find out smart ways on how to use it. So launch a story and listen to how people react to your story and your hypothesis. And as a company, always be better at listening than selling. Then you will make things that are more meaningful, and we will have less of that 90% crap stuff. So never doubt that a small group of passionate people can change the world, because indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Thank you. Have some more sound. Oh, so you have to do the product demo as well, because otherwise I can't listen to your feedback. So can you see it here? I hope so. I'll first see if it just plays loud enough on itself, and then we'll it's a pretty big room. Can anyone hear that? Oops. I'll just play a nice tune for a second. So now the soundstage, you can push it a little bit higher so everyone can hear the sound. So if you're going to launch one company, right, why not launch a speaker company so you can be music artist video? So it's been a pretty fun year. So I just want to finish off with saying that if you want this speaker, just use Slush in our web shop and you get 10% off and free shipping at any location in the whole world. And please use the hashtag so I can see the Slush audience using this in their homes. Any questions? Is there a question time? Or is it's over? Okay. Thank you.